All right, guys. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another session. Fortunately, we were not able to be here on Monday due to the celebration of Heroes Day. I trust that everyone did something constructive. There is plenty of review videos on the channel that you could have used to substitute for that day. But I trust that everyone is okay, everyone is in good health, and we're back at it again. All right. At least we get a chance to do one class for the week. Right. So we're going to make use of every opportunity that we have. All right. So tonight, I believe tonight is our core night, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Tonight is our core night. Is tonight the night where we do measurement?
No, sir.
Tonight is fundamentals.
Yes, sir. On Mondays we do measurements.
How is that? That means my other class tricked me this evening then, because they were supposed to do something else. They weren't supposed to do measurement. They weren't supposed to do fundamentals. That means them confused the timetable, because I asked them what they were supposed to do, and they told me that they were supposed to do measurement. I never teach measurement 2 times in one day. Nevertheless, so tonight you say is our fundamentals night, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you confirm what was I believe that the last thing that we would have done would have been fractions, operations. We would have done the composite questions.
Yes, sir. Last thing we did was multiplication and division of fraction. You gave us an activity to do.
Okay. All right. Give me a sec. There are some persons still logging in. I think they messaged me and said you're going to be late, so just give me a second. I just need to make sure that everybody is here. All right. Okay, so let me pull up back the board. That should give us a pretty good idea. Are you seeing my screen, guys, or no?
No, sir.
All right. Remember, guys, please monitor your microphones. Please remember, guys, monitor your microphones. Shaniko, your mic is unmuted. All right. So pulling up the whiteboard. Today's the 22nd. We didn't have class, so that would be 7 days ago. So obviously this would be the tab. This would be the tab that we're working with. It should give us a good idea of what the last thing that we did on fundamentals. All right, so we're pulling up whatever is here. Was this the activity that you guys got to do? Was this the one?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, so provided that some of you guys did get the chance, because sometimes sometimes our mind is willing, you know, but our body and our life doesn't allow us to get a chance to do it. Because I also got a homework as well that I was supposed to try, and I completely forgot to do it. So I can relate. I can't really curse you for this one, guys, if you guys didn't get a chance to really shoot your shot at it. All right, so we're going to get into it. Let me just grab my pen. Give me a sec. All right, so it's a good chance for us to use our opportunity here to use this question as a recap. So the last thing that we would have done, and these school students, you can see that my evening school students are behind you, because you guys would have already completed this. So this should be a bread and butter for you. All right. So in our last class, we discussed that you're going to encounter fraction problems like this. We're going to have to call the top part A, and we're going to call the bottom part B. All right, let me just zoom up a little bit more for you here. Okay, so so we know that the first thing we need to do is to get those mixed fractions to go into its improper form. So we know that this is going to be 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. All right, 8 plus 3 is 11. So that's 11 over 4. And that's going to be minus 3 ones 3 plus 2 is 5 over 3. I remember we're working the A part first, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and work the A part. We are obviously subtracting, so we know that we need to find the LCM. The LCM of this is going to be 12 because we always multiply the 4 by the 3. So 4 into 12 goes 3 times. We're going to put the 3 at the top. 3 into 12 goes 4 times. We're going to put the 4 at the top. 3 times 11 is 33. And 4 times 5 is 20. So we'd have end up with a simplified answer of 13 over 12. All right, again, because we're not finished with the complete question, there's no point turning this into a mixed fraction, right? Only if we are giving our final answer. So we're going to hold on to that 13 over 12 and we'll be right back for that answer. Let's go back to the B part now. The B part, same conversion again. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 3 is going to give us 18 over 5. Plus 4 twos is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11 over 4. All right, and as per usual, we are adding, so the rules for subtraction is the same for the rules for addition. LCM again, that's 20. 5 times 4 is 20. So 5 into 20 goes 4 times, and 4 into 20 goes 5 times. And if we do the math on our calculator, 4 times 18, that should give us, I believe, 72. Somebody can confirm that if I'm wrong, please.
Right. Yes, sir.
And 5 times 11 is 55. So when we add those two numbers, then we're going to end up with 127. Pardon me, I'm so sorry, guys. 127 over 20. All right? 7 and 5, 120. 2 and 5 is 7. So 127 over 120. Somebody, give me a second, guys. Remember, guys, try to make it a priority to join the class as early. Even if you're in the waiting room, try to join the class early, because usually if you start or join the class after 7:15, you're going to be stuck in the waiting room unless somebody tells me that you're in the waiting room. I will not know, okay? Because I'm not checking. The class closes at 7:30. That means you're late, which means that you're absent pretty much. Unless you tell me from in the day that, sir, I'm going to reach home late and I might join the class, then I might look out for you, okay? All right. So all those extra messages that persons are sending. All right, so here we go then.
Sir,
Yes, go ahead.
it's plus the 72 and the 55.
That is correct, yeah.
So it would be 130.
Check again. Is 130 again?
Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. It happens. All right, so now we're going to take the answer for the top, which is 13 over 22. And we're going to divide it by whatever we got at the bottom. Always top divided by bottom, guys. I've seen students really make mistake and they say bottom divided by top, and they get an inverse answer, which I'm sadly have to take off a whole entire.
13 over 12.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. 13 over 12. Thank you. All right. So now with the rules for division, 13 over 12 multiplied by, I would do a flip, 20 over 127. All right. I don't think 13 can go into 127. I doubt it. Because 13 into 130 goes 10 times. So I doubt if you can go into that. So, and 13 is a prime number, so that won't work. So I know that maybe we can use 4. 4 into 20 goes 5 times. And 4 into 12 goes 3. So I think that's it. 4 into 20 goes 5 times. 4 into 12 goes 3. So we end up with 13 times 5 is 65 over 3 times 127. That's going to give us 381. Pardon me, guys. There are some extremely students that are late. And oh Lord have mercy. All right. Okay. So if you guys shoot your shot at it and you got it right, thumbs up. If you guys.
Why did you flip? The question was asked, why did you flip the fraction?
Because that's the rule for division. We went through that last week in details, that when you're dividing two fractions, we use let me just scroll back up and you'll see here. If you look at the rules for division, we said it last week that when we're dividing fraction, we use the KCF method. Keep the first, change the sign, flip the last. This was thoroughly discussed last week.
Probably that person wasn't here.
Okay. All right, but the recordings were posted, So if you missed the class, you have to make certain that you stay in tune with what's going on, okay?
Oh, Perk said that they're new.
Oh, you're new. Okay. Oh, it would have been one of those new students that came in this evening. All right. All right. Just a reminder, guys, remember that every one of these classes are recorded. So they are posted on the weekends or sometimes during the week. So if you need a review on something that was taught, or you need to catch back up on a lesson that was missed due to circumstances beyond your control, feel free to join the YouTube channel and you can access all the recordings from the classes that we've taught so far, okay? All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of fractions in its entirety. All right, we have the tools, so it's just a matter of, when you get the questions, it's just a matter of practicing them and using the rules to your advantage, okay? So tonight, we are going to move on to another topic known as ratio, okay? We're gonna move on to another topic known as ratio. So head up for me, ladies and gentlemen, ratio and proportion. Ratio and proportion. Okay, that's our topic for tonight, guys. Ratio and proportion. As for my day school students who are currently in the group, I'm not sure. I'm going to send a message shortly. School is closed, officially closed for tomorrow. So please do not show up for school tomorrow, guys. Okay? Day school students, please do not show up for school tomorrow. An official message will be sent shortly about 9 o'clock to confirm. Okay? One was sent in the general group. I'm not sure if you see it. But if you're in this class, please do not show up for school tomorrow. School is closed until further notice. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So take down some information from you guys. All right, so a ratio. Oh, usually I would pull up a notepad, so my bad. Sorry, guys. I usually pull up a notepad. So here we go. So I'm going to give you some definition of ratio, some things that we need to know. A ratio is a comparison between two or more quantities. A ratio is a comparison between two or more quantities, which is written in the form, A colon B. All right, so a ratio is a comparison between two or more quantities, which is written in the form A to B. All right, A to B. I was trying to see if I could write it in all caps. A to B. Where A, oh, this is good for some of my students because I think that some of my day school students would have done this topic today. So lucky you. So that you're getting a review, quick review. So a ratio is a comparison between two or more quantities, which is written in the form A to B, where A and B are called shares. So we call A and B shares. The sum of A and B is called the total proportion. So the sum of A and B is called the total proportion. A ratio is sometimes referred to as a fraction, or I would say referred to as a fractional amount of the total, a fractional amount of the whole. All right, so let me just demonstrate what this information is saying here. I'm going to put this to the side here, zoom it up a little bit. There. All right, we're going to do a little demonstration. All right, so what we're saying here is that a ratio, right, is a comparison between two or more quantities, which is usually written in the form A to B. So we're going to circle that A to B. That's how you know you're dealing with a ratio question, because it has that letter. It has like 2 to 3, 1 to 4, 4 to 5, 2 to 7, that kind of thing. That's how you know you're dealing with a ratio. All right, now let's give you a demonstration, right? Because you guys always ask, well, not you particularly, but students over the years have always asked me, sir, a lot of the maths that you teach, do we do these in real life? Do we apply these in real life? We do. We do them. It's just that we don't give them the name that us mathematicians give them. Right? For example, here I have a circle, right? And this circle, I'm gonna call it a pizza. Okay? I'm gonna draw somewhat of a representation of a pizza. It's not really a good drawing, but I'm going to, let's see how it looks. Give me a second, guys. I think my device is kind of freezing a little bit. All right, so here we go. Just call up my pizza for now, guys, okay? It's not perfect. I think I should be able to draw a perfect circle now. Hold on. I have to keep my work nice and tidy. I think by now, guys, you know that sometimes at this time the device tends to glitch a little bit. So hopefully nobody is surprised about that. Oh, beautiful, nice, perfect circle, right? All right, guys. So let's picture this circle here to be a pizza that you would usually buy at Domino's or at Pizza Hut, right? Or Caesar's Palace, right? And usually you find that apart from a pizza being a very small one where they cut it into 4, I'm gonna look at a medium or a large pizza where we cut it into 8 slices. We're gonna call it 8 equal slices, okay? All right, good. So each of these slices here represents a portion. I'm gonna pick a random student from my class. So I'm gonna pick Miss Gentles and I'm gonna pick Miss McClarty, right? So Miss Gentles and Miss McClarty. And these two ladies were given this pizza to be shared in a particular ratio, right? I'm gonna use G for Gentles. I hope that's what it's spelled. Miss McClarty, I hope your name's spelled right. I hope so. I don't think McClarty. I think there's no H, right? Forgive me if I don't spell your name right. Okay, so I'm gonna put McClarty here. I'm gonna put Miss McClarty here. That's M again. I'm gonna put Miss McClarty here. And then I'm gonna put G here. G here. G here. G here. And G here. All right. So what you'll notice here is that out of the 8 slices, Miss McClarty would have gotten 3 out of the 8 slices. So therefore, Miss McClarty would have gotten 3/8 of the pizza. Because the pizza has what? A total portion of 8. And Miss McClarty got 3 out of the 8. Whilst Miss Gentles would have gotten 5 out of the 8. So Miss Gentles would have gotten 5/8 of the pizza, while Mrs. McClarty would have gotten 3/8 of the pizza. So when we talk about a ratio, what we're talking about is that it represents the amount to which the whole has been divided into, right? So in for example here, we're looking at Gentles, Miss Gentles, compared to Miss McClarty. Hold on. So Gentles, give me a second, guys. Hold on. So Gentles compared to McClarty. I think that's what it's spelled, you know. Right? So if you notice that Miss Gentles got what? 3. And Miss Gentles got what? 5. I'm so sorry. And Miss McClarty would have gotten 3. So what you notice here is that Miss Gentles got 5 and Miss McClarty got 3. These numbers are known as shares. But when you add them together, notice that it tells you that the answer is 8. So what the addition of the ratio tells you the total portion that the whole has. But individually, from the 8, Miss Gentles would have gotten 5 out of the 8, so that's 5/8. And Miss McClarty would have gotten 3 out of the 8, that's 3/8. When you add them together, you're gonna get a whole 1. So if you add 5/8 plus 3/8, notice that you end up with 8/8, which is equal to 1. So you get back a whole. All right. So it's very important to understand the principle of what we mean by ratio. A ratio is really a fraction. It's just that it's just a different way of expressing a fraction. So if you notice that we're moving away from fractional calculation, and we're looking at another principle of mathematics where we can use fractions, and this aspect of it is called ratio and proportion. Okay, so hopefully that little demonstration here gives you a little bit of light into what you're expecting to be dealt with. You're expecting to be dealing with throughout this topic for the next class. Now, there are a variety of questions when it comes to ratio, right? Variety of questions. And the questions will puzzle students, right? It will puzzle you because you have to, every question will have a different level of complexity to it. So is there something that I can use all the time, Mr. Peart, that will help me to solve every or any ratio question? Is there such a rule? Well, I'm not sure if I came up with this rule, but I've been using it for years. It's just a way how I have done it, and I've always been successful in solving any and every ratio question using these steps. Right? So I'm gonna pull up another notepad here for you. And so I'm gonna call this notepad here, title it Steps to Solving. I'm gonna capitalize this word now. Every ratio problem. Every ratio problem. So it doesn't matter the complexity. These 3 steps, if applied, notice I said if applied because there are students that are going to either 1, forget the steps, 2, because they don't really like the whole heap of steps to work out the math. They're going to try to find a shortcut way. Or 3, they just simply find it challenging to do a ratio problem because there are persons here that have done ratio before, and for some reason it has been one of their most feared topics. So you're simply going to just not understand how to do the ratio. But if you apply these 3 steps that I'm going to show you, then you'll find yourself being successful more often than not. Okay? So here they are. Step 1. Step 1 is an identification step. So we're going to identify what I refer to as the comparative quantities. So step 1 is to identify the comparative quantities. Step 2. You're going to find what is called the total proportion. I'm going to explain all of that in a second. Okay? And step 3, most important rule of all. It's a rule that we're going to be using in the next upcoming topics as well for next week, Wednesday, provided that we're teaching. Well, I think next week, Wednesday, we're going to be doing an assessment. So it might be the following Wednesday that we're going to see about this step again. Step 3, find the value. Find the value of 1 share. All right, so you must be wondering, what are all these rules and how do I apply them? Let's first talk about individually what these steps are, okay? So step 1 is that we're going to identify the comparative quantities. So what do you mean, Mr. Peart, by comparative quantities? What does that mean? Well, let's go back to the example we were talking about Miss Gentles and we were talking about Miss McClarty, right? So we have a pizza. Let me just zoom it up here. We have a pizza, right? That circle that we drew earlier. And Miss Gentles and Miss McClarty is sharing the pizza between amongst themselves, right? So the comparative quantities, believe it or not, is Miss Gentles and Miss McClarty. That's it. So in other words, then the comparative quantity is basically who or what we're comparing. Who or what is being compared. So the comparative quantities, ladies and gentlemen, is who or what is being compared. Says who or what is being compared. Let me just write it a bit clearer for you. Who or what is being compared. So in future questions, what you're going to see is a question that says, a sum of money is shared between two sisters, Mary and Pam. Mary and Pam is the comparative quantities. A sum of money is being shared amongst three friends, Paul, Michael, and Adam. The comparative quantities, Paul, Michael, and Adam. So basically, the comparative quantity is who is in the ratio or what is being compared, and we write them down, and then we write down what the ratio is for the comparative quantities. So that's basically step one. The questions will give more light to what we're saying here. We'll just explain them one by one. Now, step two. So step two, ladies and gentlemen, is where we find the total proportion. So we call it TP, total proportion. So the total proportion basically tells me how much parts the money have. So let's say I'm sharing a certain amount of money. I need to know how much parts has it been divided into. Let's go back to the pizza again with Miss Gentles and Miss McClarty. If you realize that we added the 5 and the 3 and we got 8, what this 8 is telling me, ladies and gentlemen, is that the pizza has 8 equal parts. In everything you do when it comes to ratio, you need to know how much parts, how many equal parts does the whole have. It's not always going to be 8. It can be 14. It can be 11. It can be 9. It can be 5. It can be 3. It depends on the ratio. Sir, will they always give us the ratio? Yes, they will. They will always tell you that this is being shared between this person and that person in the ratio that to that. They always have to tell you what the ratio is. Well, at least at this level, because there are some questions, some advanced questions where you will have to find the ratio, but we're not there as yet, right? For now, the level of questions that we're doing, you will always be provided with the ratio. So when we say find the total proportion, what we're asking you to do is to find the value of A plus B. So the total proportion is equal to A plus B, right? So if the ratio is A to B, then we're going to add A and B. That's how we find the total proportion. And then step 3 now, most important step of all, if anything else you forget, you cannot solve this question or get to an answer without you having how to find one share. Let me explain to you what is meant by one share. We're not going to use the pizza as this example. We're going to use a case of water. So 1 case of water. Okay. So 1 case of water. How much is in a case of water? Anybody can tell me?
24.
24? Okay.
24.
Okay, so 1 case of water. So 1 case equals 24, right? And let us just say hypothetically that the 1 case cost us $2,000. right? We know not 2,000, but we're just using a random number, right? So let us just say that the one case of water costs us $2,000, right? In your heads, guys, anybody, how would you calculate the price you paid for one? What would you do? In your own little way, right? In your own little math world, if you know that you gave the cashier $2,000 and you were able to walk out of there with a one case of water, which has 24, what would you have done in your own little world to calculate the price of one water?
Divide it.
You divided 2,000 by 24, correct?
Right, sir.
Good. All right. So that example that I just showed you there is a perfect example of you finding one share. So you would basically divide the amount that you spent by the quantity of items that you have. So in other words, then, in order for us to find one share, we have to divide the amount of money being shared by the total proportion, which is A plus B. So let us just say that we are sharing $1,000 in the ratio, I don't know, we're going to divide the 1,000 by when we add A plus B. All right? So I know it's a little bit jumbled and it's kind of like all over the place. It's going to make sense once I start to give you a question. I just want you to understand what each step means. So step one, we are going to identify who or what is being compared. Step two, we're going to add the ratios. That is the numbers that's the amount that is being shared in the ratio, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 1 to 4. And then now we're going to use the information that we have and divide whatever is being shared by the total proportion. So step two is needed for step three. If you don't do step two, you cannot do step three. All right? Now, let us make it all make sense. Because you're looking at this and you'll be like, all right, Mr. Pierce, I'm hearing it. I'm really hearing it, but I don't fully really grasp what you're saying. I want to see you work. I want to see you use these steps in an actual question. All right, no problem. Here we go. Let's pull up a quick little notepad here. All right, let's write a question. There are about, to me, I think there's about 4 or 5 variations. For CXC, there's about 4 or 5 variations of structured exam questions that I've seen over my 15 years of teaching. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do as much of them as possible. We're going to start from beginner's question to semi-intermediate to intermediate to intermediate, advanced to advanced. All right. So let's go. We're going to look at the basic ratio question. So here's a very basic application of ratio and the application of the steps. A sum of $2,500, a sum of $2,500 was shared between 2 friends. Sam and Paul. In the ratio 3 to 5. Calculate the total sum of money. Sorry, calculate the total. Calculate the amount that each friend received. And that's the question, guys. It's a basic question for ratio. Okay? So, pulling that up, pull it down here. That's basic question number 1. Let's zoom it up here. All right, so here's the application. We're gonna use the steps. I know that some of you guys have your own little way of working it out, and like I said, if it works for you, if the method that you've always been using is consistent for all categories of question, don't change it. But if it doesn't work for all questions, I suggest that you get rid of it. So step 1, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna apply step 1. Now, if you go back up here and look at the pink or I don't know, I think this is pink, right? Look at the pink notepad. Step 1 is to identify the comparative quantities. So in this question, the comparative quantities is Sam and Paul. Because they are what we are comparing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say Sam to Paul. Sam to Paul. Give me a second, guys. Don't know. Okay, I think my pen is out. I'm going to have to use my fingers to type. Okay. All right, so Sam to Paul. Forgive me, guys, with the handwriting. Okay. All right, so the comparative quantities is Sam to Paul, right? And according to the ratio is 3 to 5. So 3 compared to 5. That's step 1. That is step 1, guys. I've identified who I'm comparing, and I've also identified the ratio of the comparison. So that is step 1. Believe it or not, guys, that is step 1. Step 2, you're going to find the total proportion. So TP is equal to, and we said it earlier, we're going to add these two numbers here. So TP is going to be equal to 3 plus 5. So TP is equal to 3 plus 5. So the TP then is equal to 8. That is step 2. Now, what we know for certain, ladies and gentlemen, is that the sum of money that is being shared is 2005. So remember the example with the water earlier, and I asked you if 24 water costs 2,000, what would you have done to calculate the price of one? And a student says 2,000 divided by 24. It's the same thing here. This what I'm saying here is that 2,500 jars is being shared between 2 persons and the total proportion is 8. That means the 2005 has 8 equal parts. So therefore, to find one share, it's going to be 2005 divided by 8. And it's always that way. Never no other way. 2005 divided by 8. Can somebody tell me what that is?
$312.50.
312
50.
So that means one portion is 312.50. So now what we're looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is that we need to calculate the amount each friend received. So I know that Paul got 3 shares. So Paul would have received 3 times 312.50. And then that's not Paul, that's Sam. That's going to be 3 times 312. So that would be Sam. How much you got for Sam? $936, $937.50.
$937.50.
Okay. And then Paul now would have received the rest. So Paul would have received 5 times 312.50. How much is that?
$1,562.50.
And if you go ahead and you add these two, you'll realize that you end up back with $2,500.
Sir,
Yes, go ahead. Question.
I'm a bit lost here. The 939.50, how did we arrive at this? Because
The 937?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we found one share, which is $312.50.
Right, we got that.
And based on the fact that Sam got 3 shares from up top here, from the ratio, one share is 312.50, and Sam got 3 of them.
Oh, I see what happened. Oh. All right. Thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Perfect. Perfecto. All right. And then if you add 937.50 and 1,562.50, it adds up back to 2,500. So you can see thus far in basic question number 1, it's not too hard. This is what CSEC is looking for, this sort of layout. Now, there are persons that have, they are going to say it's easier, right? And fine. If you want to do it the other way, like some person will say it's 3/8 times 2005. And then 5/8. Sorry, is it 5/8? No, it's 3. Yeah, 5/8 times 2005. No problem. If you want to work it that way, Mr. Pate will give you full marks. But as long as that method is consistent for all different levels of questions, because there are going to be situations where you cannot put the 3 over the 8 or the 5 over the 8. So if you prefer it that way, for me personally, I've always wanted to learn math in such a way that I have one method that works for everything. That's just my opinion. That's just how I think math should be taught. Later on, we can investigate if this method is effective or that one, but I want one that's going to work all the time. And so, yeah. Let's look at intermediate question. Let's look at a semi-intermediate question. Let's pull up another tab. Here we go. Question number 2, guys. A sum of money was to be shared.
Sir, I'm not seeing it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me know if you've seen it in 3, 2, 1. Seeing it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, so a sum of money was to be shared between 2 brothers. James and John. In the ratio three to 7. John received $1,400. John received $1,400. $1,400. Calculate the total sum of money that was shared. Okay. So that's why I call this question semi-intermediate. If you pay very close attention, ladies and gentlemen, to both questions, you'll see a distinct difference between the two questions. Let's have a look at them. What's the difference between these two questions that I've written? In example number 1, you can clearly see that I told you what the sum of money was. I told you that a sum of 2005 was shared. In example number 2, I only said a sum of money was to be shared. I didn't tell you how much.
That is a sum money.
Oh yeah, thank you. Typing error. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right.
A sum of money. Right, thank you. All right, so you can see the difference between the two questions, right? Example number 1, I told you what was being shared. In question number 2, I didn't tell you how much was being shared. You're expected to find it. So the two questions are structured slightly different in terms of the English language. But will the steps or the rules change? No, they will not. We're going to start off, just as we said before, by identifying the comparative quantities. So again, in this question, the comparative quantities are the two brothers, James, compared to John. And the ratio between them is 3 to 7. So I've not changed anything, guys. Same as I did before, I'm still doing it now. I wrote down James and John because they're who we are comparing. And I wrote down the ratio 3 to 7. Step 1 completed. Step 2, total proportion. Total proportion is 3 plus 7. Total proportion is equal to 10. Now, here is the trick with this question. Here's what catches most of you. Not all of you, most of you. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say most of you. Students tend to read the question, but they don't read with understanding. So they quickly assume that it's the $1,400 that is being shared. If you read it carefully, it didn't say $1,400 is being shared, but it said what? John received the $1,400. So the $1,400 is not going to go between James and John. The $1,400 is going to go right above John's name. Because John is the one that got the $1,400. So the question is then, and somebody can answer me, based off logical reasoning, will I divide the $1,400 by 10 or will I divide the $1,400 by 7?
Seven, sir.
Is everybody in agreement? I'm not seeing the chat, guys. So if you're texting in the chat, I won't be able to see. I only hear one person. Everybody agree that we're going to divide the $1,400 by 7 or by 10?
7.
By 7. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Check the chat shortly. I'm going to check the chat to see what's going on. Anybody decide that we're going to divide it by 10? Let's see what's going on in the chat. 7777777. Okay. Okay, good. All right, good. So I don't see anybody thinking that it's 10. All right, so be very mindful of that question, guys. Be very mindful of that question, right? It's very tricky. If you don't read it carefully, you'll make a mistake. So because the question specifically said that John is the one that got the 1400, you'd have had to divide the 1400 by the amount of shares John got. So that's what we're going to be using to calculate the value of one share. So see, I'm still finding one share. One share is going to be equal to 1400 divided by 7. That's going to give me how much? $200? Right. So now I know one share. I'm good to go because the question says calculate the what? Total sum. And remember that in step number 2, we wrote down that total proportion is 10. So if one share is 200, that's almost like saying one bottle of water is 200. How much for 10 bottles of water? So 10, so the total sum, give me a second, guys. Total sum is equal to 10 times 200. And that's equal to $2,000. So be very careful, guys. Notice that I have not changed anything. I've applied my step 1, comparative quantities and the ratio. Step 2, total proportion. I just had to realize that it wasn't $1,400 that was being shared, but it was John who got the 1,400. So I end up had to divide the 1,400 by the amount of shares John got. All right. So again, the English language is going to play an important role in you having or getting this question right. All right. Let's look at an intermediate question then. An estate valued sorry, let's not do that one. Sorry. A sum of money was to be shared. I shouldn't say was, I should say is to be shared. A sum of money is to be shared amongst 3 siblings. Mark, Anthony, and Kerry in the ratio 2 to 5 to 7. Full stop. Anthony received $900. Anthony received $900 more than Mark. Calculate the sum of money that was shared. Right, let's just grab that here. Let's zoom it up a little bit. Here's the question. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this question. Remember, the rules are not going to change, but it's going to require a little bit of thinking. Once again, like question 2, it says a sum of money is to be shared. You were not told how much money was being shared. That's what you're expected to find. You're also told that the 3 siblings are Mark, Anthony, and Kerry. So those have been the comparative quantities. And you would have also been told the ratio 2 to 5 to 7. Now I'm going to grab a different color ink just so you can highlight this important part. So watch this now. You have 2 types of students when you're doing this question. Some students who I would safely say that they read but without understanding. They quickly assume that the $900 is being shared between all 3 persons. And that's where they get it wrong. And then you have a student who knows that it's not the $900 that is being shared, but they read the question so fast and they made the assumption that Anthony is the one that got the 900. So they use the principle used in step 2, in example 2, to solve the question. Now there is an extra clause here, more than Mark. So Anthony didn't get $900, ladies and gentlemen. Be very mindful, watch the English language. Anthony did not get 900. Anthony got 900 more than the amount that Mark got. So those parts that you see I've underlined there are the crucial part of the question that will eventually lead us to our answer. But let us go back to basics. Let us apply step 1, step 2, and step 3. Step 1 says identify the comparative quantities. So right now we're looking at who and who and who. From the start, we're looking at Mark. Compared to Anthony. Compared to Kerry. And the ratio between all 3 is 2 to 5 to 7. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's very easy for you to get caught. Very easy for you to get caught and put the $900 right here. Because it says Anthony received 900. You read it and you didn't finish the clause, you didn't finish the sentence. So it's very easy for you to put the 900 right here and then go ahead and divide the 900 by 5 and then multiply it by whatever. And that is detrimental. All right. So we're going to show you how you fix that. Let us continue. What is step 2? Find the total proportion. So the total proportion is going to be equal to 2 plus 5 plus 7. And that works out nicely to be equal to 14. So what does that 14 mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means that whatever this amount of money is being shared, we don't know what it is, it's a question mark. Whatever it is that is being shared, it was divided into 14 parts. So here's the trick in the question now. It says Anthony received $900 more than Mark. The question is why? Why did Mark get more money? Sorry, why did Anthony get more money than Mark? It's very obvious because what? Anthony got 5 and Mark got 2. So therefore, the difference in what Mark and Anthony got is 3. So we're going to find what is called the difference in shares. So the difference in shares Forgive me, guys. I'm using my fingers to actually write because the pen, the charging or the battery on the pen failed me a while ago. So forgive me with the handwriting. So the difference in the shares is equal to 5 minus 2. I'm going to pause here and make sure that everybody understand. Do you understand why I subtracted the 2 from the 5? Anybody has any question on that? Why I subtracted
I was just about to ask you why you do it, sir.
Because according to the question, Anthony got more money than Mark. So I wanted to know why. What's the reason why Anthony got more money than Mark? Because Anthony got 3 shares more than Mark. Anthony got 5, Mark got 2. So therefore, that 3 shares difference is what I'm looking for. I want to know what that $900 is equivalent to. So the reason why Anthony got $900 more than Mark is because Anthony got 3 shares more than Mark. Make sure you understand before I move on. Check in the chat. All right. So Levani Hansen, yes, you're correct. All right. So don't say anything in the chat. Don't hear anybody opening their microphones. So we're good to go.
1 shares.
So therefore then, that 3 shares is what we're looking for. Pardon me? Okay. So then we can safely say then that 3 shares is equal to the 900. Because the reason why 3 shares is equal to 900 is because Anthony got 3 shares more than Mark. So the 3 shares extra that Anthony got more than Mark is exactly the reason why Anthony got $900 more than Mark. So using that information, 1 share. So 1 share is equal to 900 divided by 3. That's 300. So if you want to find 1 share now, ladies and gentlemen, game is over. Because now the question says what? Calculate the total what? Calculate the sum of money that was shared. And we know from step 2 that the total proportion is 14. So the total sum is equal to 14 times 300. Which is equal to 4,200. So be very careful with these questions. Get used to seeing them. This is what I would call that intermediate version for the question. Okay? All right. We started a little bit late, so we're going to still go over by 5 minutes. Just one more question. And then please ensure that if it's still not clear, even if you have to fast forward the video when it's posted, just to the part that you don't understand, make sure you give it a rewatch if you're not clear, right? There's no way you can have these resources at your hand or at your disposal and just leave it up to the gods for you to remember, right? Nothing wrong in you watching back over a video, not for my purpose, but for you, just to ensure that you understand why we do what we do, okay? Let's do another question together. Remember, you're going to get your chance to do them, so don't worry. I just want to ensure that I cover my bases. All right. This time I'm gonna dictate the question to you. I'm not gonna write it on the screen. So please write this down for me, ladies and gentlemen. A sum of money was shared A sum of money was shared amongst three friends. A sum of money was shared amongst three friends. In the ratio three to 7 to 5. A sum of money was shared in the ratio. A sum of money was shared amongst three friends in the ratio 3 to 7 to 5. Full stop. The second friend, sorry, not the second friend, sorry. The first friend, my apologies. The first friend received $700 less than the second friend. The first friend received $700 less than the second friend. Full stop. Calculate the total sum of money that was shared. Calculate the total sum of money that was shared. All right. So notice that the rules have not changed. I still wrote down what? My comparative quantities and the shares. I still found my total proportion. And this little piece of information here is what we call the critical thinking. We had to be smart about how to find one share. So once we were able to wrap our minds around, based on the question, how to find one share, finding one share does pretty much end the question. So let's apply the same rules here for this question. Nothing won't change. Last question, guys, because I know you all are tired. And remember, there is no school. Well, this won't affect you because you guys are online. So please ensure that you guys stay safe, stock up with food and the relative things that you need. Stay safe in the storm. I would love to see back everyone here safe and sound next week. That's real life and we're in good health and strength. Okay? So go out and get whatever you guys need to get tomorrow early and come back in early for those who don't have work. All right? And stay tucked in. All right? Charge up your devices, get some stuff, get all the necessary things that you need, the necessities, and stay tucked in and stay safe. Okay? And what you can do is, I don't know, I think you guys can do, well, I don't know if you can watch videos offline, as you might be offline. But in this time, nobody not think more maths here, man. Sure, let's go. Anybody thinking about maths when we're in a math storm? All right, let's go. Just stay safe, guys. That's all I'm saying. All right, so the comparative quantities are what? Three friends, right? So we're gonna call him. This time I didn't give a name. If you want to call it, if you want to give them a name, it's up to you. I'm just gonna call it F1, F2, and F3. Right? Sometimes you're gonna have to do stuff like that as well. They may not necessarily give you a name for the friends. So just come up with a name for it. So F1, friend 1, friend 2, and friend 3. And the ratio was what? What did I write down? 3 to 7 to 5 or 3 to 5 to 7?
375.
375. Good. All right. So step 1 has been completed. Step 2, total proportion. 3 plus 7 plus 5. That looks like, or that sounds like 15. So step 2 completed. Now, here's where the smart thing comes in. Now, it says that friend 1 received $900 less than friend 2. So if you look at it carefully here, guys.
700, sir.
Yeah, 700.
700, not 900. Thank you very much. 700. So we're looking at these two persons here. Why did friend 1 get less money than friend 2? What was the reason? What was the difference in the shares?
Friend 1 got $233.
There's a reason why friend 1 got... No, I don't want to answer yet. You're probably right, but I want the process. How did you get the 233?
I divide it. The
Okay.
700 was divided by friend 1, which is 3. So I got 233, and then when I divide it by 7, I get $100 for friend 2.
But why would you divide it by 3? Remember, that friend 1 didn't get the 700, Friend 1 got $700 less than friend 2. If you divide the 700 by 3, you're making the assumption that I said, or the question stated, that friend 1 got 700. The question says friend 1 got $700 less than friend 2. So the question is, what is the difference between friend 1 and friend 2?
So you'd minus the 3 from the 7.
That is correct. So you therefore go ahead and say difference in shares is 7 minus 3. And that's going to be equal to 4. Was that Miss Stacia speaking?
Yes, sir.
Gotta get used to the voice, All right, so you understand why it's 4 now and not 3?
Yes, I just realized. Minus.
No problem. Yeah, man. All right, so now that we get that 4 is the crucial part of the question. So we can now set it up now and we can see that 4 shares is equivalent to the 700. The 4 shares is the exact reason why friend 1 got $700 less than, because the 4 shares less that friend 1 got over friend 2. Notice that friend 1 got 3, friend 2 got 7. The reason why friend 1 get less is because they receive less. You get 4 shares less. So that 4 shares is equivalent to the 700. So one share is equal to 700 divided by 4. And that's equal to
175.
175. Very good. 175. So one share is good. So what did the question ask for? The total sum of money that was shared? Remember, we don't establish that total proportion is 15. So therefore, we can conclude this question and this class by saying that the total sum is equal to 15 times 175. Answer?
2,625.
That is correct. So that is the total sum of money that was shared. All right? All right, guys. It's been a long day and a long class. Again, I trust that you guys are going to keep safe over the course of the next couple of days where we're going to be in inclement weather. Do please keep safe. I hope to see you guys next week. And again, as soon as the videos are posted, feel free to rewatch it, or you can look up on YouTube for other videos with ratio, right? over the course, I'll try my very best, if I have access to the internet, to send you all a worksheet before the light and all that stuff go away, so that you guys can actually have stuff to do. Even in the storm, when you have nothing productive to do, you can still probably go and practice, right? If it's allowed, or if you're alone, or if you're able to do that. Okay. Otherwise, be safe. Thank you guys for joining. See you guys next week, and stay safe. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Nice.
Sir,
Good night.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir.
Question.
Yes, sir. Good night again. How do I get access to the website or the channel?
Somebody's gonna send a link in the group. Stacia, can you resend my, if she's not gone already? Can you resend my YouTube link in the group, please? Or somebody, anybody?
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. Bye, Khadija. Bye, Hansen. Bye, Olivia. Good night, everyone. Good night.